I got very lucky, but I was signed to an incredibly big label, and so I had that backing. However, I was up against Jagjit Singh, Anup Jalota, people who I really respect and love, but they are all male and of a certain age, and that is tough. And even making it in a devotional space is tough, because guess what? You're not selling your body, you're not selling sex, you're not selling the things that are being sold across social media every second of the day. Instead, you're selling something higher, but you might not be packaging it in a Western way that a lot of people, I'm not going to name anyone, but a lot of people really, really package it for the Western audience, and so they get somewhere.
Hello and welcome to another episode of For Soul's Sake, a conversation in which I bring you the best in wellness, in mantra, in meditation, in music, in all things goodness. And today we have an amazing guest, someone who I am deeply admiring from a distance, and finally we get to meet in person someone who is none other than Shivali Bhammer, who is a wonderful, renowned devotional singer and multi-talented artist from the UK. Shivali's musical journey began in 2009 when she made history. This is amazing, by the way, as the first devotional singer to be signed by the prestigious record label Sony Music. Since then, she has mesmerized audiences with 3 highly acclaimed albums. With each release, Shivali's soul-stirring vocals and profound devotion have captivated listeners, establishing her as a trailblazer in the genre. Beyond her remarkable musical achievements, Shivali is a true artist with a versatile spirit. Her passion for dance led her to create Dance's Playground, a platform dedicated to freestyle movement and improvisation. As a solo performer, she trained in ballet, competitive Latin, that's interesting, and holds a diploma in Kathak. Shivali's creative spirit finds expression not only on stage but also through the written word. Her profound insights and eloquence have graced the pages of esteemed publications such as the Financial Times, Times of India, Hinduism Today, and Spirituality and Health. Her writings traverse a broad spectrum of topics with a particular focus on spirituality, faith, Hindu philosophy, and the pursuit of happiness. Recognized as a captivating speaker and motivator, Shivali has delivered keynote speeches at notable events, including the International Women's Day Conference in New York, where she shared her wisdom on finding the goddess within. Her expertise and insights have garnered global recognition, leading her to lead workshops on the profound nature of Karma Yoga at the esteemed Spiritual Directors Conference in St. Louis, and presenting the enlightening session Learning from the Himalayan Masters to esteemed professors and classmates at Harvard Business School. This accolade list is incredible. Shivali, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, that was painful.
Really?
No. Thank you for having me.
No, it's really, really wonderful.
Lovely to see you.
Trailblazer, definitely you are, no doubt. Youngest to sign for a musical label for devotional, and I mean, I've listened to some of the music and it's got like this R&B influence.
Absolutely.
Tell me more. How did that kind of where did the inspiration to mix the genres come in? Do you feel like here's the underlying question really? Do you feel like it's a necessity? Do you think maybe the music of devotion needs to be upgraded once in a while?
I wouldn't call it upgrading. I would call it embracing different genres and collaborating between the two, or sort of seeing the synergies between the two, right? So when I started this process, I was around 14, 15 years old, and I love traditional bhajans, devotional music, kirtans that are sung with the harmonium, the sitar, the tabla, conventional forms of devotional music. However, the youth don't necessarily identify with that style of production. And what I wanted to make devotion and this relationship with God accessible to as many people as possible. Now, how do you do that? Music is a universal language. It's a way to connect where even if you don't understand what's being said, if you enjoy what you're listening to, you will automatically have an emotional reaction to it. Right, and because I grew up on R&B, hip hop, I was born in London. Those were my influences, and so I wanted to.
90s child.
I'm gonna pretend.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand what kind of music. Maybe we listen to the same kind of influential music.
Late 80s.
Okay.
Late 80s.
I mean, that's still young.
Very late.
Okay.
So exactly. Things like Jagged Edge, 112, Montel Jordan.
I mean, that's my vibe.
You know,
Yeah.
P. Diddy,
Yeah.
Biggie,
Yeah.
all those influences. And so I wanted to combine the two, not to disrespect obviously traditional devotional music, but to present it in a way that could capture a new audience and recapture an audience that perhaps we had lost.
Recapturing the audience is part of my mission as well.
Mm-hmm.
But also to try and capture the attention of Western audiences that maybe don't have any affinity to devotional sounds, such as kirtan and mantra chanting, bhajans, etc. How do you feel about the inclusion of Western people within devotional music? Because it's really polarizing. Like, I've recently just seen a huge uptake in social media, people really appreciating from India, like, oh wow, look, they're chanting in Union Chapel, there's all these people that are from Western backgrounds that are chanting. Do you think that do you think that causes any offense?
It's a really interesting question. It's a loaded question. So
Loaded indeed.
Firstly, no. I grew up singing hymns. I went to a Christian school. Till today, I probably know a few of the prayers out of the Bible. And would a Christian take offense to that? No, I think they'd find it heartwarming to them. I do not take offense. However, having said that, what I do take offense to is when they then take out the roots and the origins of where this philosophy, music, yoga, science came from, and try and remove any association
To secularize
to the
it.
East. Yes, and that I do find offensive. I think also what I find interesting is, I was one of the youngest bhajan singers to be singing this style and opening out our devotional music both to East and Western audience. I was largely, I would say 80%, 90%, everybody embraced it. But there were people in India now and again who would say, oh, why is she singing it in that accent? Or why is her pronunciation this way? Well, I was born and raised in London. My first language is English, then Gujarati, then Hindi, right? And they would never have said that to a Western singer.
Right.
Someone with a Caucasian face gets applauded. Someone who is Indian of origin
Should know better.
gets insulted, even though we're doing something so important for our community. So I think that's where I find a little bit of the struggle. We have this phrase that we page lag in Gujarati, that we're always bending down. And I feel we do that towards the West, but we don't do it to our own people. And I think that's rather sad. And that's not on Western people picking up our music. It has nothing to do with them. That's on us. That's our responsibility.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
I mean, something that I've been doing as a kind of conscious effort to respect the culture, which I'm, even though I was born here, brought up here, but one of the things that I consciously do is to give love to the people of India.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that the biggest following on most influential accounts does come from that side of the world. Whether it be Southeast Asian or whatnot, that there is a massive kind of they love liking and commenting on stuff. And I used to always think, I wonder why no one ever comments back on that stuff. And I've kind of made it a point, when I do see, as much as I can, it's getting a bit too much, but when I do see a comment from someone from India, for the first hour, I will reply to them and say, thank you.
Yeah.
I just deeply appreciate that they've taken notice that I'm trying to do something nice.
Right.
And I don't reply to the negative comments because I think that requires a space where you can actually understand the person.
Yeah.
You can't do that on
agree.
comment section. It's just not going to happen. But
Let it go.
India, I love you. I can't say it any more plainly like that.
It's obviously his message of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I love everything India. And it's the reason I spend 1 month a year there. It's the reason why I try and bring people there on retreat. And I think it's really powerful. You've come from a very traditional background as well that's steeped in Hindu culture and, that's what is your upbringing. But I think what's interesting is you've made it your own. And I wanted to know that journey of how you made it a personal connection, how because I think the thing is that a lot of people in our similar upbringing will have probably rejected it and said, no, let's just kind of adopt the Western culture. There's no such thing as gods, demigods of the like, even God, question mark. We have to make that connection personal. I want to know how that kind of happened for you.
I think so. I think I don't really come from a very traditional background.
Hindu background?
Hindu background. Both my parents are Gujarati Hindus, but I was brought up in central London. I went to very sort of English white schools, and I didn't grow up sitting in the Indian community, even though my extended family did. But for me, it was a journey that started when I was very young, and I had the influence of my great grand aunts and great grandmother actually. She was a big influence on me, and so yes, the prayers and the mantras and the bhajans came naturally. I think that can come to a lot of people, but sincerity and love and forming that relationship, that is different. That's more subtle, and that's a personal choice and a personal commitment. And when I was young, I used to be a little bit scared of people breaking in to the apartment. I don't know why I had this.
Too much Home Alone?
I don't know. I just thought someone's coming, and I got to be ready. And how am I going to protect my mom? And then how am I going to, and to get away from this constant planning and protection planning, I imagined sweet. Lord Rama was standing right next to me, and
wow.
I would imagine him there, and he would say, "I've got this. I've got you. Don't worry." And we became friends. And of course, that's an imaginary friend. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. Then I made an imaginary friend of God.
Wow.
And so that relationship was built. And then everything that I did subsequently had devotion underpinning the action. There was a service to something higher underneath everything. And that's what started that. And then everything became about understanding that relationship. So in the same way, people want to understand everything about their boyfriend, their history, their exes, where they came from, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to understand everything about God. How do the Christians see you? How do the Muslims see you? How do Buddhists see you? How do Jews see you? What stories do they have about my boyfriend? And I built that knowledge base so that I could understand the different facets of philosophy, and then choose my faith. So it wasn't just that I was born into it or someone told me that this is what I'm going to believe, but I actively chose to believe in it because it then made logical sense to me once I had studied everything else and then also my philosophy.
Yeah, so it's a broadening of knowledge that led you to go, I kind of appreciate this tradition that I've been, in one sense, brought up with without any consideration of conscious choice. Well, we think we don't have conscious choice, but anyway, that could be a whole deeper question about reincarnation and whatnot. But there's, it's something that I think that it's almost reverse engineering it. The more that my friends of the past who are Indian, Hindu background saw that I was sharing with Western audiences, they've kind of gone, oh, maybe there is some value in this. And it's interesting, right? Like how there's this colonialism, subtle colonialism that kind of like
absolutely.
is the undertone that, the Caucasian person is appreciating.
Right.
So therefore, let me appreciate.
Right.
I'm like, whoa.
Now everyone's vegan. Now everyone's vegetarian, even though
already
we've always been doing it. But sure, now turmeric's a thing.
Turmeric, right. I saw it in
just goes on.
Body Shop. Like they're actually selling, like, before the wedding they put, is it turmeric?
They put the haldi ceremony. Yeah.
But what is that? That's turmeric? I don't know.
Yeah. Mixed,
I think so.
Yeah.
If we're wrong, just put it in the comments.
I think it's mixed with something else. It's mixed with like saffron. Was it saffron? But milk and yogurt. I don't know. There's a whole.
But get this, they're selling
mixture.
it in Body Shop now as like a moisturizer, as like a cleanser for the. I'm like,
Sure.
Bro, like we've been doing this for ages. Just make it at home.
Yeah.
Incredible. But the subtle colonialism is what I wanted to get your insight on. Like, do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you have anything further to add to it?
I completely agree with what you're saying. You only have to look at the yoga industry being, multi-billion-dollar industry and the way that it has grown. You only have to look back in time and think, as Indians in this country, we struggled to find anything vegetarian. But as soon as it's embraced by the Western world, suddenly vegan and vegetarian, we're catered for. Actually, we're not, because now the focus is on alternate meats and things, and that doesn't really cater for someone who's vegetarian, who's never eaten meat in their life, right? It actually just caters to the person who's changing. And
wow, that's mind blowing. I never thought about it like that.
This is why I spend my nights thinking about.
Wow, it doesn't actually cater for the vegetarian. It caters for someone that's transforming.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a good point.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I never used to. To be honest, like I did go through a phase. I was brought up vegetarian. Then I ate chicken nuggets at McDonald's for a little while, and then I was like, of my own accord, I said I don't want to eat that anymore. And then I've gone back, and I really do appreciate the fake meats. But the thing is, like, if they weren't there, I wouldn't mind it either way. But it is it's interesting that you said that it wasn't always there. Like, it's not there to cater for me.
Yeah.
It's been there to cater for those that previously.
Right.
Damn, that's revelation.
Which is why you see a beanie burger made of lentils and chickpeas being replaced by an Impossible burger. But the Impossible burger isn't for the vegetarian, because the vegetarian might never have had that Impossible burger because they don't eat beef, right? So it's so going back to this colonialization, I think the problem actually is within Indian society versus Western society. Western society it's a capitalist structure. It is one of innovation, of advancement, of learning. So of course they're going to embrace things that they're suddenly discovering that are fantastic about the East. I mean, that has been happening for thousands and thousands of years. There's a reason why Britain ruled India, and I don't know if you want a fun fact. There's a really fun fact.
Fun fact.
Before, I think this is true, and I'm pretty sure, before Britain ruled India, India was 36% of global GDP.
Wow.
And when Great Britain left, India was in dire poverty. Right? That is a huge change.
Stripped it of all of its wealth.
Stripped it, right? But that's all in the past. And we live in their country as we do in the US or in the UK, and we have we've embraced their way of life, they embrace ours, and there's this whole transfer of power and knowledge, and that's great. I think the onus, again, I always say, is on Indians. Why are you waiting for someone else to do what you can do? Well, why don't you do that? Why don't you talk about... It's exactly what you're doing, actually. Why don't you talk about your kirtans and your bhajans? Why are you just waiting for the Caucasian person to do it, right? And why are we only embracing it when they do it? Do we not have enough self-love and self-respect and self-appreciation to tell our own stories?
Yeah.
But colonialization has made that difficult.
Yeah.
Because what happens in colonialization is you have an erosion of identity. We haven't just had an erosion of self-identity. We've had an erosion of identity as a country, as a culture.
Global.
Yeah. Well, anyone, Africa, India, a bunch of countries. So I think there's a balance, and that we basically need to heal, and we need to work on ourselves as a culture.
As cliche as that sounds.
Cliche. We all need therapy. Come on, Indians, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think this is going to get controversial fast.
God, no one's going to like this. No one's going to sign up to listen to me.
Sweating away. But I noticed a similar thing in for example, the Hare Krishna movement. I'm a proud member of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I've waved the flag. I'm chained to the Hare Krishna movement. I love it very much so. But there is definitely a case of, I noticed, because of the white rhino, this complex of the Western person knows best. I think sometimes the Indian culture can be picked and chosen at random. Like, okay, look, they sit on the floor, so that's, but I think there's some bits that are a little bit cherry picked.
Absolutely.
And I think what is definitely interesting is the tides are turning again. And I think that when I first started, for example, I was told quite bluntly that I wouldn't make any impact because I'm not Western by body. I'm not a woman because that was what was going to pop off, and no one really wanted that at that time apparently. And so I kind of was like, okay, I don't really agree with you, and I'm going to try and see if I can make my way in through this. And what's been amazing is someone that's not in a woman's body is in an Indian body, not particularly like Brad Pitt lookalike.
Come on,
Yeah. But the point is, like, I think that it's nice to be an example or flag bearer of someone that's quote unquote normal. Like, I'm not really, there's nothing really special about me, but I'm just trying with some little endeavor to do something. And I think that gives those of an Indian body also the ability to go, yeah, I'm going to fly my flag. And that's been incredible. Like, like Beer Biceps from Beer in Mumbai. I really respect that guy. What you're doing, this is why I got you on the podcast, flying the flag.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, firstly, I would correct you on this notion that you're not special, because you are.
Oh.
Right? You wouldn't be sharing and giving if you weren't special, because only very special people have the ability to give. Anybody can take, right? But giving takes a lot. And whenever you give, then you're made of something higher, because if we believe in God, God works in a format of constantly giving. And that's what you're doing. You're reenacting that service, right? So, firstly, you are special. Secondly, I think that's really sad. I felt quite sad listening to what you said about the expectations that are there to quote unquote make it. And if you don't fit into that mold, you're not going to. It's the same being a woman, actually, because realistically, how many famous female bhajan Indian singers do you know that have actually made it? I got very lucky, but I was signed to an incredibly big label, and so I had that backing. However, I was up against Jagjit Singh, Anup Jalota, people who I really respect and love, but they are all male and of a certain age, and that is tough. And even making it in a devotional space is tough, because guess what? You're not selling your body. You're not selling sex. You're not selling the things that are being sold across social media every second of the day. Instead, you're selling something higher, but you might not be packaging it in a Western way that a lot of people, I'm not going to name anyone, but a lot of people really, really package it for the Western audience, and so they get somewhere. But if you start talking about, let's go into the history of the Gayatri Mantra. How did it come about, right? Let's start talking about the Natya Shastras. Where did dance and theatre and music come from? Nobody wants to know. So you and I are both fighting a certain battle, but it's as you said, we're holding up the flag, and I think that's great, and I think people can only do as much as they can do, and they can try. And also, we can't have any ego about it, because born from dust, go back to dust. Life is over in a second, and why are we getting so agitated? And I speak for myself, because clearly I get very animated about things.
No, it's empowering. I think it's very, very beautiful to hear. And I felt quite moved and quite empowered. Like, while you were speaking, I was like, yeah, this is nice, Go brown people. Go India. It's nice. It's nice. I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned your study of Abrahamic religions in your pursuit of finding your personal connection. And I want to see because like I've done a little bit of study. It's not like vast amounts. Like I've read a few verses from the Quran, so I cannot claim I've studied the Quran. I've read the Bible once cover to cover, but I wouldn't even call it that a study. I just say it's just a reading. It's not really so much scholarly or at all an educational basis. But what would be your kind of takeaways from when you did kind of explore those traditions as well? I'd love to hear like what were the maybe there's differences in the rituals, but did you find there's an underpinning of devotion that can be still found there?
Honest answer?
Straight up, this kind of conversation.
Not always. Abrahamic faiths, I think their core principles are similar to ours. right? Which is the three O's. God is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Every faith that I know of believes at least that, right? Which is why in Hinduism we accept every path to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Because ultimately everything folds back in on itself. It is a wave going back into the ocean, and the ocean is infinite. And that's why we can have Ram, Krishna, Jesus, Brahman, Allah. It doesn't matter to us, right? I think the Abrahamic faiths recognize some of that, but in their rituals, not so much. Christianity has some similarity, especially the devotional.
Do you think because of the
aspects
singing
of
and hymns,
Christianity.
or what would you say?
Not just even the hymns, but Christ's love, the service element, the charity. Obviously, the commandments align with us. However, we don't, in our faith, I don't think we necessarily believe in commandments because we believe in karma. So you can do what you're going to do, but you're going to face the natural consequences of it. We're less sort of regimented about it in that way. So I guess the presentation is slightly different.
Yeah,
I would say,
granted.
I would say, again, the way the culture of the Jewish faith is similar to ours. You know, my best friend is Jewish, and I find her dedication and interest in her faith similar to the way that I find mine. And we find lots of similarities between us. However, what I've found is that this is really down to the individual. You have to be open enough that you want to see the synergies. If you are closed-minded, you will just not see it. All you will see is difference. Religion itself is nothing without the person who's choosing to live it. What is religion, right? Some might claim that it's man-made, and really religion or a book is just going to sit there until you open the book up.
Yeah.
And then how you act with regards to what you interpret in that book becomes your religion. So is a religion controlling anything, or are you controlling something?
Yeah, you can choose to leave Bhagavad Gita as it is on the table.
As it is.
On the table, leave it on the shelf as it is.
Yeah. And so that's why I think, yes, I'm a devout Hindu, but I'm pretty open-minded about these things, because I really feel religion is a personal journey, and it's a pursuit of understanding your own self and your relationship with the world. And the way you define that relationship will ultimately create a perspective, and that perspective will color everything in your life. And then that's when you'll either see that, hey, I have so much in common with this person in the way that we think, or no, it's only the way I see things, which ultimately is just ego.
Yeah.
Right?
False ego, yeah.
That's just a barrier.
Thank you so much for your honesty and your openness to be not just giving the people pleaser answer, but by really being honest about your experience and your instances and your connection with all these different traditions. And that's been valuable. What's on your heart at the moment in your spirituality? Beyond all the accolades, beyond all the knowledge, what's currently alive for you in your spiritual connection?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to answer that, but what I will tell you is I'm studying a scripture at the moment called the Yog Vashishta.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
No.
So the Yog Vashishta is about this, about the Rishi, Vashishta, the
Vashishta Muni, yeah.
and he used to work in the court of Lord Rama. He was his guru, and Ram Bhagwan was having a mental crisis that's very similar to Arjun's in the Bhagavad. He had gone around touring India, and he'd seen things that he just wasn't really into, felt that why is there so much death and poverty and then wealth, and what is the point? And he
almost like a Lord Buddha moment.
Yeah, exactly. And he fell into this depression. And then sage Vishvamitra came along because he needed to get Ram Bhagwan and Lakshman to come and, fight the demons. And they said, well, Ram Bhagwan's in his room and he's not coming out. Yeah. And so sage Vashishta says, tell him to come out. And the discourse they have,
that's within the Yog Vashisht.
That's the Yog Vashisht. Yeah. And it's so powerful because it's one of the very few scriptures where you see Guru teaching what we define as God. Right. And it's blowing my mind. And I got to a point in this scripture where I called up a very good friend of mine and I said to him, who also studies scripture, and I said, I don't think God exists.
Wow.
And he goes, wow, you're starting to understand the scripture. And he said, just keep going. You're going to play around with that idea. Because in that scripture, Sage Vashishta explains to Ram Bhagwan that gods are actually a distraction. They're a distraction to the ultimate conversation that you should be having with your own self and the learning that you should be putting through your own work versus using anything else as a clutch. And crutch. I was like, that is not right.
Yeah. I was okay.
I was like, yeah, and I, it's funny. I thought of someone who's going to listen to this, and I'm like, he's going to be like, what did she just say? Yeah, crutch. So it's very interesting, and I'm not saying that now my conclusion is God doesn't exist.
You're exploring it.
I'm just saying that it's a journey you go through.
Yeah.
And that I still go to bed in love with my Lord.
Wow.
I don't think that's going to change.
Beautiful.
I wake up in love with him. I go to sleep in love with him. And also with the female form. I'm a big Devi goddess fan. Very big, actually.
Amazing.
And so I have a lot of faith. However, am I testing the relationship? Absolutely. Am I questioning it? Absolutely. Why? Because it strengthens it.
That sounds like a really rich journey. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's quite healthy.
Yeah.
Blind faith isn't healthy. But
no.
I think that you've got a healthy balance. From what I can perceive of your journey, it seems like, you're questioning at the same time as having an affinity. I think both are required, to keep a relationship healthy. Like something, and maybe this is totally off, but something that Jay Shetty said recently, we went to his show, and he said that in a relationship that is long spanning, sometimes we can think that the person is remaining the same throughout the whole distance of that relationship. Say you've been with someone, or let's not even talk about relationship with a partner, but a friend, a dear friend, you've been friends with for like 15 years. To consider that they're the same person as back when 15 years ago doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I think a developing relationship with God is one which is not static. It's not like I know it all, I know what I need to do, but rather it's like a constant journey of developing and understanding and growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe God is the finished article, but we are growing in our love towards God.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true within human relationships. And I mean, whether you're someone that's listened to this that's like fully theistic or someone that's listening to this from an atheistic point of view, either way, I think this principle of relationships not remaining static just because they have been a certain way for a certain length of time, I think that's a really healthy approach to like always refreshedly, is that a word? We're doing grammar today.
Well, I'm already in trouble for my
crutch. Refreshedly, let's go with
it.
Let me fly.
His is worse, okay? Just remember, his is worse.
Take it, I'll take it. But you get the point.
I do. I think so. If I had a message, I'm gonna look at the camera, right? That's what I'm supposed to do.
She's looking at
I'm looking at you. If I had one message, I would say that faith is about backing yourself primarily. Yes, you can believe in God, you can believe in Guru, you can believe in teacher, in the book. But if you cannot learn to believe in yourself, if you cannot learn to back yourself, then everything else slowly falls apart. That, I think, is really important. And I think sometimes we try and do the reverse first. We are taught to believe in everything around us versus ourselves. But actually, really, we should first believe in ourselves and then test, examine, and build relationships with the things outside of us. I think that would be healthy.
Sure, this has been a great combo. Thank you.
So welcome.
Wholesome. It's been deep.
Wholesome,
it's been entertaining.
like a jacket potato with cheese and beans.
I love a good jacket potato.
Yes.
Who doesn't love a jacket potato?
My favorite food.
I think we should cut the recording here. Let's all the listeners, let's gather, let's commune, let's cook jacket potato together.
With the good British cheddar.
Yeah, baked bean stew. Can we finish with some quickfire round?
Yeah.
One word, one sentence.
What? What? Say it again.
Get ready.
What happens?
Quickfire, one word, one sentence answers.
Quickfire, one round.
One word, one sentence answers.
One word, one sentence. So I give you a word and then I give you a sentence?
One word or a sentence.
So you have to clarify these things.
The only person that's clarified the quickfire round. Because you know what happens? What happens is people don't understand what I say and then they end up doing long fire and they end up doing super long fire.
But that's not quickfire.
That's not quickfire.
They didn't hear the quick.
Get with the program, people. Okay, quickfire. Question number 1. What's something that you're curious about right now?
Death. It's quick, right? It's whatever came to mind.
Question number 2. Okay. What's something you're personally working through at the moment?
Real self-esteem.
Okay. I thought you meant real Instagram self-esteem, but it's real as in...
real self-esteem.
Question number 3. In short...
Not fake self-esteem.
There. See?
I don't need that. I've got that.
Question number 3. In short, what legacy would you like to leave behind in this world?
An obituary in The Economist for being the most colourful woman on earth.
Oof, may it be. May it be. Question number 4. Something that you used to deeply value but just don't value anymore.
People who no longer invest in me the way that I invest in them.
Wow. Question number 5. If you could create one law that everyone had to follow in this world, what would it be?
Don't lie. Just tell the truth.
Even if it's hard?
The truth will set you free, my friend.
Oof. There's a film, what's that called? It's got Ricky Gervais in it. Have you seen it?
No.
Just type in truth, Ricky Gervais. It's a great film. It's all about no one lying in the world.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty horrific.
I mean, it'd be quite interesting.
One rule, bring back the dinosaurs, find them, bring them back to Earth.
Jurassic Park, mate. I don't want to live in that age. I'll get eaten. Someone like me can't run that fast. Okay.
One rule, maybe stop all animal killing.
Stop. Thank you.
Yeah.
There
please
we go.
Stop, please. I love elephants.
Okay. Don't kill the elephant.
Don't kill the animals.
You'll be Shivali's best friend. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been educational. It's been very entertaining. I think we can be friends.
Oh, yeah?
I think this is going to be a friendship that's going to continue.
Well, only if you invest in me, because then I'll invest in you.
All right, okay.
These are my new rules. I'm joking.
Okay, and I won't kill any elephants.
Okay.
Or I'll try not to.
And you'll take me for a potato.
I'll take you for a jacket potato.
Okay.
That's a shout. I'm into that because I like jacket potatoes.
Sounds good.
Thank you all so much for joining us. See you on the next episode for Soul's sake. And like, comment, share, do all those things. And love you all. Namaste.
And listen to my bhajans.
Listen to Shivali's bhajans, please.
Obviously.
Please listen to her. All right, peace out.